everyone, it's Bethany from Bethan Books and welcome back to the mid-year freakout tag. Is your gal like 2 months too late? No, not too late, just late. Ding! I've seen heaps of people do this and I really enjoyed watching just their wrap-ups of some great books that they've read, some disappointing books, and decided to hop on the bandwagon on the very last carriage when it's coming back for the people after it's already left the station. But either way, I am here. I'm really excited to chat books with you guys, so let's just go into it. Before I get into the main 13 questions, just a quick wrap up of how my reading year has gone so far. I have read, hang on, it's on my board down here, 91 books. I'm on my 92nd book this year, and that blows me away. That is the most books I've read ever, ever, in a year. Last year I got to 48 books. This year I'm already doubled that. Now that is 100% thanks to the devastating coronavirus, so that sucks. But also those 8 weeks in lockdown, all I did was read. I read 30 something books during lockdown, so you can actually check out my Corona collection on my Goodreads if you want. Aside from that, I've really fallen in love with genres outside of what I've normally read. There are a lot more thrillers on my read shelf. There are a lot more adult books and a lot less fantasy, which used to be my primary genre of enjoyment. And I've also been way more active on my bookish social medias. So my booktube that you guys are obviously watching right now, I've actually managed to stay consistent for almost an entire year, which I'm super proud of. On my Bookstagram account, we've just been celebrating our 5,000th community members over there, which is so exciting. I just love every single one of you. And with enough cheesy gabble, let's just get into those questions, shall we? Ooh, thank you. Alright, so what is the best book I have read so far in 2020? So the best book and my new all-time favourite book is The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern. You probably could have guessed this. I kept talking about it in my reading vlogs when I was reading it, and it is just my favourite book ever because it just reminds me so much of why I enjoy reading. It's a story about stories and about just exploring worlds, and the writing is so beautiful, and it's one of the only books I've read where every 30 pages I genuinely want to stop so I can just wallow in its glory. I do have a couple of runners up, however, just that I want to share with you. I read Sarah J. Maas's Crescent City, and this one was super hyped, and honestly I thought it was just going to be another meh fantasy, but I really loved it, and I struggled to pinpoint why I loved it so much. But this is a big book, and I read it essentially in one sitting. I started it 4 p.m. one afternoon, read till 2 in the morning, got 6 hours of sleep, woke up and just finished reading it. I really liked it. Yes, it's nothing that special. I just think the tropes that were done really well. And then I also have my first Brandon Sanderson book. This is the Empire, the Final Empire, which is book 1 in the Miss Bond series. I've actually got book 2 on order, and I love this one because I think the powers, the elemency, which is what the characters have where you swallow a certain type of metal and it gives you some sort of ability, is done so well and it's so unique, and the imagery in this world blew me away when I was reading it. It was genuinely watching a movie. So these are my 3 current favourite books of 2020. The best sequel for me was hard because I don't think any sequels I've read this year blew me away, but I did settle with The Silence of the Lambs. This is Thomas Harris's second book in the Hannibal series, which has 4 books in total. And honestly, I just love Hannibal Lecter as a character, and that it centres around a female detective. When this was written, it wasn't a unique, never before done thing before, but I think it's done in a way that was quite powerful for women, although there are in this case a few choice terminology words around curvaceous women which are very fat shaming, so be aware of that if you do pick this up. And I'm not excusing that, however I am aware of the time with which it was written, but that aside, I just love the detective story and how in Thomas Harris's books he gives you the side of the actual murderer and you get to see inside of their head, which is always a fun but creepy but fun, creepily fun time. I'm filming this on August the 3rd and tomorrow Midnight Sun comes out. So for the question, a new release I haven't read yet, I'm going to say Midnight Sun because I'm going to go buy that bad boy and I am going to read it straight away. I'm intending to do a reading vlog, so keep your eyes peeled for that one. And question 4 is the most anticipated release for this next half of the year. I actually have a couple of videos out where I talk about the quarterly books I'm anticipating, so I'll link those for you if you want to go see all of them. But one that I'm especially excited for is an anthology collection called Vampires Never Get Old, and it's just a collection of vampire stories. And honestly, after rereading Twilight, and I'm currently reading the Southern Book Club's, I don't think it's out here, the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires, I'm just really in a vampire paranormal mood, so I'm looking forward to that. What is the biggest disappointment of this year? Now, there have been 3. I suppose with reading more books, you also encounter more disappointments. The first one is the sequel to Carry On, which is Wayward Son. Carry On, you'll see him later on, but Wayward Son, I missed the cuteness that was between Simon and Baz, and that's all I really wanted to read when I got to book 2 in the series. I just wanted more like, oh, squealy kind of moments, and it didn't deliver. Overall, I don't think it was a bad book, it just wasn't what I wanted from it, and reading reviews, it seems like that is a statement mirrored by many other bookworms out there. Dead Girl Society, I remember reading this expecting way more excitement and drama, but the whole thing just fell flat for me. The characters were just two-dimensional, annoying, and just didn't intrigue me. And then the third one that's been quite a big disappointment for me was The Beach Read. I know quite a few people out there love it, but I don't think that it was sold correctly, if you know what I mean. The cover, I remember talking about this actually in a wrap-up and I went kind of ranty about it. Funny. But the cover kind of is selling you, hey look, it's all yellow, it's bright, it's going to be at the beach, beach is in the title. It talks about on the back of the book that it's kind of set out to be this massive romance, and it isn't. It hardly takes place at the beach. It is set in a way that it's just not what you expect when you pick up the book. Now, if I had picked up that book with the expectation that they were going to be looking into what was kind of like a cult and how the cult got like burnt down, and it was less about the romance and more about, I think, the competition between the two characters, and ultimately it just wasn't what I expected and wasn't what I wanted. If it had been sold differently, that didn't tell me it was going to be a massive summer, really cute romance story, then I possibly would have liked it more. For the biggest surprises, I also have 3. This year I have really gone into thrillers, and it started with My Lovely Wife, and it follows a husband and wife who kind of get addicted to murder, and then the father develops a conscience, and realises how debilitating their actions have been upon their daughter, who's now taken to sleeping with a knife under her bed because she doesn't feel safe. So it's that moral dilemma, and I just think it was really well done, and that's what led me into books such as Gone Girl and picking up the Hannibal series. Another one for me is The Martian. I have read this as part of my top few books in the decades video, which I'm still in the process of making, but I was genuinely scared that this was going to be like a freaky stranded on Mars story. I really don't do well with like space stories like that, like all those Apollo failed missions. They just really genuinely scare me, so I was really, I guess, scared. How many times can I say that going into reading this book? But it was so funny, so well written. I absolutely loved it, and it stuck with me for quite a while. I often find myself thinking about this. And then the third one that took me by surprise is Paper Towns. Now you're probably like, why? The answer is, I don't actually like John Green that much. I know I have a Turtles All the Way Down novel back here, That's the first one I ever read, hence I bought it from a shop and it's on my shelf. But all the other ones I've read, I haven't been the biggest fan. I just think they're a bit so-so, and overall he's a bit too hyped up. So going into Paper Towns, I was a bit apprehensive, and I didn't have high expectations. I only read it because it came up on my spinny wheel as the oldest book I have on my want to read shelf on Goodreads prompt, and I really liked it. I really liked the friendships in it, and I think that the movie does the book justice, but it does miss out a little bit on the friendship side of things. So those are the three surprises for me. For newest fave author, when I was looking through the books I've read, the ones that I've rated highly are actually books written by authors I've read from before. But I suppose you could say I've fallen a bit more in love with Rainbow Rowell's writing, and like I've mentioned, you will see Carry On later, but Rainbow Rowell's writing never fails to just make me feel content inside. Also, there is Erin Morgenstern, who is obviously someone that I love because I've said Starless Sea is my favourite book of all time, but I read Night Circus a couple of years ago and love her. If I had to choose an author that is new to me this year, I would have to say Sanderson. I feel like I can't say him because I've only read one of his books, but honestly it blew me away enough that I'm definitely invested in him as an author. And also H.K. Choi. She wrote Emergency Contact, which I read last year, and this year I read Permanent Record, which honestly I love her books. I think they're so relevant to like my generation of readers and younger. It's got elements in it that make me feel validated. I don't want to go into that too much because that's kind of personal stuff, but just know if you are, if you are someone of like the 20s and younger, and sometimes you feel like your way of living isn't accepted in wider society, I find H.K. Choi's writing to be powerfully resonant in myself. And speaking of Permanent Record, the next question is my newest fictional crush. I don't really crush on fictional characters, but in this case I really ship these two characters together. I won't get into it too much because I don't want to spoil anything, but I just think they're so cute, so realistic, and such a good slow burn romance. So for my newest favourite characters, I have two. The first one is Baz from Carry On. Here we go, we see it now. This book just gives me unparalleled happiness and joy. It's the first book where I ever squealed out loud, and the reason I've chosen Baz over Simon is because I enjoy how in tune with his feelings Baz is. He's gay, he fully accepts himself, he loves himself in a way that is kind of inspiring, but he also has his own downfalls and his own things that hold him back, which makes him a really realistic character. And then also him and Simon just makes me squeal. And then my other favourite character is Elizabeth Bennett from Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. This is the first classic book I've ever read that I actually enjoyed just for its story, and I didn't feel the pressure to like it because I didn't read it for part of university or part of reading. And the reason I like Liz so much is, as you can guess if you read the book, she is such a strong, powerful female character who just does her thing, and I love her for that. Books that made me cry. Oh, the light's going a bit funny, sorry team about that. We are dealing with a flaming ball of fire in the sky. But books that made me cry, I have two, but they're both by the same author. First, Crescent City, the beginning of this book, when that thing happens to that friend. Oh, I was bawling. I was so invested, and then I was bawling. And then the other Sarah J. Maas book that I cried in was actually Kingdom of Ash, the final installment in her Throne of Glass. Hey cat. Throne of Glass series, and that one made me cry towards the end when, again, that thing happened to that group of really close, powerful women friends. I just was so invested in both of these books. I don't know what Maas does, but she just gets me invested, and when she then goes and does this stuff to me, it breaks me. Genuinely breaks me. Books that make me happy, of course I've got to put Carry On in there, but also a special shout out to The Grace Year by Kim Liggett. This was my favourite book I read in, I'm pretty sure it was January, it was very early in the year. If I had to sell this book to you, I would say The Handmaid's Tale meets The Hunger Games. Yes, the pace is kind of slower than the Hunger Games, but it's got that element of working together, and the survival game is all about the women, so it really made me feel like, yes, women support women. It got me really excited and also made me feel really confident somehow. It was a weird book. I'd never come away from a book with that feeling before. Don't know if it was happiness, but I'm gonna throw it in there. And then also The Bookish Life of Nina Hill. This is just a really cute, I'd say it's more an adult, isn't it? Yeah, an adult contemporary with a hint of romance, and it's just amazing. If you're someone who likes to read books about books/book lovers, definitely pick this one up. Then we have a beautiful book cover. One I haven't read yet, but I have to give a shout out to, is The Essex Serpent. I bought this second hand off Trade Me. I don't know what it's about, to be perfectly honest, except it's a historical fiction. And it's got this most beautiful dust jacket, and on the inside, just this beautiful like pastel yellow floral print, and it just got me so sucked in. And then for the books I have read, I have to say, again, I'm bringing these up, Crescent City with that gold foil and that intricate red design, and again Starless Sea with that gold like foiled look. And also I love the back colour combo on Starless Sea. And then the last question is books I need to read by the end of the year. Welcome to my TBR shelf. All of these, plus the other 306 that I have on my Goodreads account want to read shelf. I have lots. If I had to pick 3 from this shelf that I really want to get to, I would have to say I really want to read something from Donna Tartt. I really want to finish my video where I rate the top books of the decade, so that means I've got to read, where are we? Oh, The Light We Cannot See. And for one other one that I'm really excited to read, I would have to say I'm really interested to see Hank Green's writing compared to his brother's John Green's writing. And I suppose Gumaho, because I like Naruto and he's got the now nine-tailed fox in him, and Gumaho follows a similar folk tale element to it. So that is my mid-year freakout tag. I had a lot of fun actually looking through the books I've read this year, and honestly I'm excited for all the books that are going to come up, that I'm going to read. Midnight Sun is so soon. I've never been one of those like real Twilight fans, but honestly I'm just so excited to see things from Edward's perspective, especially since I have done that Twilight reread in the past couple of weeks. I'll link my reading vlog where I did that somewhere if you want to go to peruse. But thank you for watching this video. Enjoy all the places you go in your own reading adventures, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!